We love to talk about the gift of anticipation when you have something to look forward to, like maybe a big trip or vacation. But we want to look at the other side of the coin and the pressure that you can feel when you're preparing to get out the door, to tie up all the loose threads on your life so that you can go have a good time. So if you love to plan things, but you also feel pressure around it, you're not alone. We're going to explore that today.
Welcome to What Could Go Right, a podcast about living boldly on and off the water. I'm Eric Orton.
I'm Emily Orton. In this podcast, we explore adventure, connection, and stepping into a more intentional life. And we don't just talk about it. We invite you to join us on guided sailing trips around the world.
And if you stick around to the end, you'll hear our sailing update where we share where we're going, when, and which trips still have space. And you'll hear a sailing takeaway from somebody who's already come on a trip with us. In 2014, we bootstrapped a year on a fixer-upper sailboat with our 5 kids. We wrote a book about it called 7 at Sea, and that became a New York Times top 10 travel book.
Let's dive in.
Okay, so we're talking about you mentioned the gift or the joy of anticipation, but also the pressure of preparation when it actually comes time to pack your bags or to book your flight or, in some cases, book a hotel. Can I make a preamble to this?
Yes, let's amble.
As we head into the summer season, a lot of people that are going sailing with us this summer have started to ping me and say, hey, I'm looking at buying flights, or I want to get there a little bit early. Can you recommend some hotels? Or, I want to get, this item or that item. What do you recommend? And there's a lot of questions. And I have this as well. Like when I'm going somewhere new for the first time, I have questions and reach out and ask. And so to the extent that we can, we try to make this easy already in the sense that we provide packing lists. We have what we call a next steps page where once you book a trip, we'll try and answer all the frequently asked questions about that location. We'll try and recommend, or like, first of all, here's how you get to the marina. Here's what you need to say when you come through customs to say, this is, the answers to the forms that they're going to give you. We try and give all those answers. But, you and I this summer, we're doing something where we're going to spend all summer in Finland, and I'll be traveling from there. We'll be traveling from there for our sailing trips. And we're figuring out some new things for ourselves.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that we have to get ready. So on the one hand, I'm really excited about going. I'm wanting to think about the stuff we're going to see there, the people we're going to see, the kind of activities we're going to do. And at the same time, to leave behind the life that we have here, not permanently like, oh, let's just take everything, but temporarily, like, let's just take 1% or less, and I have felt a lot of pressure around it. Like we need to make sure our yard is good. We need to make sure that our house is in good shape. And maybe we'll have people stay here while we're not here. So we can't just like leave a wet towel to dry and be like, we'll get more toilet paper when we come back. It's like everything has to be in perfect condition. In my mind, everything needs to be in perfect condition. And we have to figure out all of the medications we need, and bringing our daughter, and she has different interests and abilities than we do. So planning for her. And
I'll also say we're going for, we seem to like to travel in 100-day chunks.
I love to go for 3 to 4 months is actually ideal. But as we set that rhythm, it was before anybody in our family took medication or had health issues. And so that's a new layer.
Well, I'll also say we are going to be in Finland, which is going to be very mild for the summer, I think. But we're also going to Norway and we're going sailing. So it's like we're packing for 100 days.
And you'll be in Italy, Croatia, and Greece. And I might come to Greece.
And so, we're packing for a lot of different scenarios, a lot of environments. And, we'll want to dress. So like we might do a road trip to northern Finland, and I'm assuming it gets colder there. And so we might have to dress or bring stuff to dress appropriately for that. And if it's going for a sailing trip, I've got my packing list pretty dialed in.
Yeah.
Like I know exactly what I'm bringing.
1 week on a boat, you don't need much.
But for, 3.5 months, it's like we need some dress shoes. We need some more
Running
serious
shoes.
Walking shoes. We need some flip flops. We need some water shoes. And we're also going to I need to bring swimsuits, but I also probably going to bring a couple of wool sweaters. And, and so it's.
And a puffy jacket.
And so it's this sort of bizarre combo of multiple seasons and multiple locations. And so, we're leaving our house so that it can be, maybe having people staying here.
And you think, gosh, I left the house before one time and there was like an electrical fire that caught our fence on fire. And you start thinking, oh, well, do we need to turn off the water? And we need to turn off, and who's going to come check? And our plant's going to die. And so I just want to say, like, we get you.
If you
This
have
is
any of
you.
these
And
feelings or questions, you are not
they're
alone.
like, we don't have a pet, but so many people are like, oh, I have to find someone to watch my cat or watch my dog or take care of this and that for the time that I'm gone. And especially if you're coming on a European trip, a lot of times people will take a longer time away so that they can get there a little early or stay a little late and spend some time, more time on shore in that country. And so the longer you're away, the more things that you need to think about and prepare for. And so, as much as it, and this isn't a packing list episode, but as much fun as it can be to anticipate and be like, oh my gosh, this will be so awesome. And maybe you don't experience this, maybe you don't experience this,
Mm.
Eric, but for me, I will often come to this crossing point where I start to wonder, is it worth it?
Oh, I never get there.
Like I guess, yeah, that makes sense to me because I usually do more preparation than you.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like, does that seem like an unfair statement? Because I think I've always done all of the cleaning and all of the stuff, and I'll pack for me and I'll pack for Lily, and I'll be, getting a lot of other things ready. Or maybe I just care about those things more. And so they weigh a little more heavily on me as I live the entire experience in advance in my head to make sure we have everything that we need taken care of. Because I remember I was saying, oh, well, I can't stay in the country this long. And so I'll have to have a plan for coming out of the country. And you're like, I'm sure it's fine. We'll figure something out when we get there. I Google it. No, absolutely not. There's not an extended visa. And I'm like, oh, I'm glad we're learning this ahead of time. So it doesn't ruin the end of our trip and I have to get out of Europe before I even get to go on this sail in Norway. So I don't know if you just have this attitude of like, we'll figure it out. And I'm a little more like, some of these questions must be answered before we leave our home.
I think we do probably have some different styles there. And I think also probably a lot of what happens is that I'm not fully aware of all the things that you're doing to prepare, and you're not fully aware of all the things that I'm doing to prepare. And so we might each feel a little bit unseen. You're like, hey, I'm doing all the house cleaning. And I'm like, hey, I'm queuing everything up for all of our financials to get everything to get taken care of and paid on time, or to make sure that money is in the right place for all the right things, or that the travel arrangements are all set. And so, or I'm taking care of things in our business that you might not just see. It might be a visibility issue.
Yeah. And a lot of times those things that you're taking care of could also happen in the airport lounge, whereas the things I'm taking care of can only happen in this location. And if I don't get it done, then it's.
Yeah. And I think, you and I might have different comfort levels of like, how nice do we have to leave it? Maybe.
Yeah.
So anyway, but yeah, you definitely shoulder a lot and you take care of a lot of the important things that can only be done physically here, in terms of like making sure the house isn't like, I'm literally going around today, like we're like tightening doorknobs and like,
yeah, putting in fans and I also know that sometimes you'll leave, but those responsibilities don't stay behind. Cause like, I know there've been times when you're like going through customs in a new country and we have a tenant calling about, can I get a lease agreement or, whatever. And you're like, can we not have this conversation right now?
Yeah, let me call you. Let me call you in an hour when I'm through customs and I'm in my rental car.
You stay connected to all of those things. So
also, one thing that I think is interesting about this trip for you and me is that we're not coming home together. Like we're going to go together, and then we're going to base out of Finland, and then we're going to go all on this sailing trip to Norway. And so we have to sort of move out of our place in Finland onto a boat in Norway, do that trip. And then you and Lily are coming home from Norway, and I'm continuing on to Italy for another trip. And so we're not.
You'll be packed for it though, because you mean because I'll be traveling alone with Lily?
Well, also just that we're not leaving from our home base in Europe to come home. We're kind of going onto a boat, and then we're separating from a boat to come home. And so I think, not that we can't handle it, but it's just another consideration of like, who's going to bring what home, because I'm going to another sailing trip. And so are you going to be able to take more with you that I don't need to take with me to Italy?
Yeah, am I even capable of carrying that? It doesn't
all
have
that,
wheels.
All that sort of stuff. And, and the logistics of bringing everything with us from Finland to a boat in Norway. So anyway, we realize these are wonderful problems to have. These are probably not your problems, dear listener, but these are the kinds of logistics that I think every traveler goes through, of saying like, how do we get there? What do we bring? Do we bring the right stuff? Is everything going to be what we expect and hope for.
And can we not bring too much, because probably we can get a t-shirt there or a scarf if we get cold,
I know, like literally the night you said, so are you bringing your accordion? And I'm like, that's a really good question.
Because it's Finland.
Because because I feel like I should have it there. It would be delightful to have it there, but it's a whole piece of luggage by itself.
Yeah. And if we weren't also doing a sailing trip, then I could just take it to Helsinki and back. Anyway, we don't have to plan it all out right in before your very ears. But I guess the main point that I wanted to talk about that maybe you've already heard is like we're each preparing in different ways. And there are things that we're looking forward to. And there are also things that it sounds like we both feel like maybe the other person doesn't see. There's this invisible labor, this mental load, and how we carry it might be different. And like, just what are we noticing about ourselves in this time, because we're in this last week of everything has to be ready, and so that we can tie off these bows and leave the country. And some things we know, this project we'll be able to finish there, so we can bring it with us. So maybe here's like, when does preparation help and when does it become pressure?
I can tell you, I can answer for myself.
Yeah, answer for yourself. I'm asking you. And then maybe you could answer for me and we'll see how it goes.
I love answering. I love speaking for you. Because I can read your mind.
Just kidding. It's more the reverse.
I am a huge believer in packing lists. And I'll tell you why. I mean, because I go through this exercise where I'll sit down, and because if I'm packing and I'm in the moment, I'm like, maybe this will come up or maybe that'll come up. And it's like, I can think of all kinds of crazy scenarios where I might need this specific shirt or this specific item, and if I will sort of mentally go through the trip in my mind, and I'll say, okay, I'm going to get on a plane. It's going to be cold on the plane, and there's not a lot that I can do about the temperature. I'm going to land, and this and that. And I'll just sort of go through roughly each scenario that I think I'll be in. And I write down everything that I think would be a good idea to have in advance. And so to mentally go through the trip and think of, I should probably bring Q-tips because I'm going to be there long enough that I want to have clean ears.
Yeah.
Or I want to bring, I'll bring a small sewing kit. Or on the plane, I know it's going to be cold, so I know that I pack my cozy wool socks and my surf poncho that I use as a blanket. And then when it's time to pack, I feel like the pressure is down. Mm-hmm. Like I've already done the mental preparation of saying, I know what I need to have on this trip. And I might think of saying, actually I don't need to bring this, or here, I just remember that I should probably bring this one other thing and I can add it. But I've done 95% of the work. And so packing,
when you were thinking clearly, not in a moment of, oh my gosh, I have to get all this done.
Yeah.
It's in a calm moment that you made the list.
And yeah. And also for me, I do enough trips that are sort of similar format that I can just pull out my list, and I don't have to do that mental work every time. I literally just go through, I assemble everything in one place, and then once it's all there, then I put it into a bag or two or three. And that's another thing that I've learned is that when I pack, get everything together and then put it into the bags, because it's so exhausting for me to like run around, where's this? Find it, bring it in, put it into a bag. And
it's like when you're a French chef and you have what's called like mise en place, I think, where it's like all your ingredients are in place before you begin the cooking.
Emily,
you have all the ingredients, all the
très magnifique. Je suis le chef de travel. I am the travel chef.
There you go.
That's exactly.
So, and in this case, I just want to shout out to lists, because when you
shout out to the list,
let's make a list, because in my mind, when I'm just carrying it around in my mind, it feels very heavy because I have all the things to do. And for each item, I have the fear that I might forget it and what would go wrong if I do forget. And so, for example, I recognize this about myself. I think it through really well. And right now we're just talking about the list of what to take. But for this journey, and for most of the trips, that's like your list. And then like you said, you'll have notes about, here's what we need to do with the finances or the business. And on this trip, it's also about all these other layers of making sure our house is ready to go. The car is taken care of, the yard, like everything. And so I knew I could see it rising up in me. I could feel kind of that anxiety coming. And I said, can we look at this final week and what everything is that needs to be done and what's already scheduled? And then we wrote everything out, and it still felt like a lot. And I've continued to add to the list, and I know you have as well. But once we had the list, you said, okay.
Hang on a second. I'm going to pause this, and because Chuck's saying he can't access stuff. So first of all, let me go to focus mode.
Okay. I think we're wrapping up, so I'll get to him in a second. Okay.
Sorry. Emily, he might be in the meeting right now trying to access it. He's in a real-time meeting, Emily.
Were they able to get it?
think so. Like, guys, you can all just download it. Literally, you don't have to.
Well, they should definitely check themselves before they went.
I don't know if they're actually in the meeting. Maybe I just know more about technology than they do. Okay, I'm really sorry about that.
Sounds like it. I know. You know more.
Trying to get to the riverside. Here we go. All right.
Are we still recording?
We're still going. So we'll just
that makes it easier.
Cut out a big chunk in the middle here.
This one needs a lot of cutting anyway. So it's totally. So maybe the question is, what are some of the patterns that show up when you are preparing for something big? And we're just talking about, a trip, but it could be anything. But yeah, what are kind of the patterns that show up when you're preparing for something big? I know for me, I tend to hold the whole thing in my head and I have a hard time asking for help. And then but I feel like I get asked for help and this invisible pressure starts to mount. And part of it is that I just want to take care of everybody and make sure that everything is going to be okay for every single person. And one of the things that really helps is when we talk about it, when we make a list, and then when we kind of say who's doing what on this list. And it can still feel like a lot, but then it doesn't feel like you're alone.
Well, and then also I think when we know what's everything that needs to get done, who's doing what, then we're in a better position to say, hey, I know that's kind of that needs more lead time. It needs to get done sooner. Can I take that off your plate? I've got some of my high priority stuff done. You can do the same for me. And we can make sure that we're able to help each other out, but everything's sort of on the table and we're not operating from our own mystery lists or, or a mental list that we haven't ever expressed to ourselves or to others.
Yeah, that's really true. And then sometimes it might be optimizing and sometimes it might just be trying to control. Like what if we don't bring enough sweaters or what if, we don't have every single thing exactly perfectly lined up, then what is going to happen? And some things it's a big deal. Like there's certain doctor appointments that we must have happen before we leave, or there could be some negative consequences.
Right. Or we could say, hey, we're going to get ourselves out of the house and then we'll have somebody come in once we're gone and do the cleaning.
Which is something we've never done. So that is hard to imagine and hard to trust. Like I feel like I would want to control it. Like you said, maybe I have higher standards and feel like more needs to be done than you think needs to be done. But yeah, that would be scary to me to not have done it and then to also not be able to check the work and just have to trust that it's fine.
We could have our daughter come check after quality check.
Right. So then you start to say, oh, why? That's when you're like, am I optimizing or am I trying to control?
Okay. All right. So it would be scary for you to have somebody come leave the house in sort of mid shape and then we leave and then trusting that having somebody come in that you maybe don't know.
That I've never seen or vetted the work. I don't think that's unusual. And then if someone had come and done it before, I'd be like, okay, yeah, I know what it is. I trust that.
Oh, we should have them come clean the house now. You can see how they do. And then they can clean again when we're gone. And you can.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. But we'll ask the price and then you'll be like, no, we'll do it ourselves. Okay. So the question is are you preparing for the experience or are you trying to prepare to feel okay in it? There's this element of just wanting to control the experience. I want to make sure everyone has everything they need and everyone feels happy and we don't have any bumps or glitches. And if someone needs a toenail clipper, we've got it. And if someone needs a piece of gum, we've got it. And if someone needs, distilled water, I already know where to get it. And that means then everything's going to be fine. And I will have done my part and everyone will have a good time and no one will be mad at me. And I will then be able to relax. And I think you have a really different approach.
Sounds like maybe I do.
Which now hearing that, maybe you can share oh yeah, now that you mention it, I don't see it that way at all.
Well, I like to have things that I want and I want everyone to be taken care of. I know that things that will stress me out is I was on a trip and I changed my shoe. I got off the flight and I'm changing out of I've been on a cold plane I'm about to step out into the tropics. So I'll change into flip flops from, cozy socks. And in sitting down to do that, I set down my sunglasses. And when I'm sailing, it's pretty important to have a pair of sunglasses. And so when I realized, oh my goodness, I left my sunglasses in the airport when I made my connecting flight, then I'm and I have these big chunky glasses and I like to wear glasses that go over them, which are pretty hard to come by. So I've made my life complicated by not wearing normal sunglasses. First of all, not wearing normal size glasses and then not having, I have some clip-ons that I think that's what I used that week. And I happened
Mm.
to, anyway, not having the exact thing that I love can stress me out, which is why I love a precise packing list. But if it's like, oh, you know what? Hey, we get there and it turns out that we do need a sweater, chances are good they'll sell sweaters in Finland. Or, if we need nail clippers, chances are we can pick those up in the airport or wherever we happen to be. But it's always nice to have them.
But there's
And
always
so
this like, why didn't you, bring that? It's like, why didn't you have a packing list?
I tell you what, if we have packing lists and we both follow them, then I feel like we're gonna both feel really good. And if we didn't remember something, that's not the end of the world. But I certainly want to be, I want to be. Sounds like maybe I need to level up in my patience.
Well, we can just recognize that this actually applies in a lot of different scenarios. Really, anytime you're trying something new or you're doing something that's outside your comfort zone and you want to be prepared for whatever it is, even whether it's like, I'm like going on a first date, like you get that same feeling, that same anxiety, maybe in a different volume, but just recognizing that that is a feeling that always comes along with trying something new or taking a risk, doing something different. There's always a little bit of uncertainty and you might handle it in different ways. So we obviously handle it in different ways. Maybe you can relate to one or the other of us, or you're somewhere in the middle, or maybe more extreme on either side. And that's all fine. It's just recognizing I'm getting this feeling because I'm doing something a little bit new, a little bit uncertain. And I'm really proud of myself for going out there and I'm going to find ways. And the more you can sort of audit yourself in that way and recognize, I always have this feeling. Like my kids know mom always gets really anxious. Actually, both of us, if it is actually the day of departure and we're packing, the kids are always like, let's just be quiet because that is a very high strung day. And we're working on working that back and being like, what if we put our stuff in the day before and we had this and let's recognize we do this and try to be a little more grateful and a little more friendly and patient with each other, but we recognize that that pattern tends to seep in. And unless you see it and choose to do something different about it, then it will be really bumpy every time you do something new. And so for me, this was really great to say, I can tell that I'm starting to feel anxious about this. And I said this over a month ago, and we actually made an initial list a month ago. And then I was like, okay, I feel better knowing we have this list. Now it's come up and other things have come up as well. And we needed to redo the list. And it wasn't because Eric doesn't already have a packing list and already have a list of his own, all the stuff that he needs to do. But I needed to sit together and say, what is everything on the table? Here's everything I'm thinking of. Let's look at our calendar. And this will help calm my emotions down so that as we go through the preparation, we can have a little bit more of that, anticipating something good. And even for me to be able to say, I am looking forward to this and I'm going to feel those positive feelings of anticipation once we leave our house. Okay, whatever I forgot is now forgotten and there's nothing I can do about it at this point. I can release it, surrender it, let go, and now I can be on the trip. And I don't know, I feel like you can probably sense this even when we just go on a road trip. Can you see that transition in my mood between the getting ready to go and the pulling out of the driveway?
Yeah.
I feel it.
For me, it's very similar to making a decision is not stressful. The indecision that comes before a decision is what's stressful.
Mm-hmm.
And once you make a decision and you take action and you commit, much of that stress falls away because you just say, I've chosen a path, I've chosen a course, I've selected my option and I'm moving forward. That actually can feel very liberating and freeing. And that's probably like, hey, we're on the plane, whatever we didn't bring, whatever we forgot or whatever's going to happen is going to happen, but we can't do anything about it now. And I think when we make a decision like, hey, which college do I want to go to? And you accept one and you decline the other.
And you feel the relief. But when you have 5 colleges to choose between, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Yeah. Or I have some job offers. Which one do I want to take? It's that indecision that's actually really stressful. But once you say, I'm committing to this job, I've turned down these other offers, to decide means to kill. And so when you say homicide, fratricide, pesticide, fratricide, to decide is to kill off an option. And as we kill off the options, that allows another option to live. Maybe this is getting a little bit heavy, but just the idea that all that other stuff can fall away because we've made a decision. We're committing to a course of action. And so I think the stress goes down, whether it's, hey, we've departed on our trip or we've decided a course of action or chosen an option. All of those things alleviate stress, in my opinion.
So we made the list. We put everything on the table. We said, who's doing what? We'll stay in touch about it. And then I put everything into AI and asked it to please organize this list according to sequence of what needs to happen first, because some of the things are predicated on something else happening first. I said, put it by category. and by sequence of urgency and what needs to happen first so that the other things can cascade out properly. And I was just really grateful that I didn't have to put that additional brain work in. And now I can see, yeah, these are the top things that have to happen. And we're getting to those. And it's very easy to see that there's a lot of other things on my list that have felt of equal weight in my mind, because it's like, make the list, assign the actions, the tasks, but then also prioritize it. So I can know these most important things must happen. And if these other things don't happen, it's going to be okay. It would be nice, but it's going to be okay. And then I probably won't get all of the things done, but the things that must happen will be done, and I'll be able to relax and be pleasant company and have a good time and just be really present where we are. That's my hope. Whenever we're trying to do something new and expand, we're growing, but if we try to control it too much or feel like our personal sense of worth and value and our relationships are also on the line, that is a lot of pressure to put on it. That's a way you can tell the difference. If you start thinking, oh, people are going to be mad at me, then maybe you're moving into controlled territory and less about preparing. So what would it look like? Imagine what it might look like if you already felt okay about it. And maybe for me, a question for myself and others like me, where could we allow for some imperfection? And I know on previous episodes, we've said the best parts of the travel are usually the ones that we didn't plan for.
So the less you plan, the more opportunity there are for the best parts to show up.
Maybe, yeah, you'd be like,
well, I'm going to contribute the imperfect part. I'll be the imperfect element.
Well, I don't know about that because you already have I have my perfect packing list dialed in, everything I need, unless I leave something behind.
For a certain kind of trip, but this is a different kind of trip, so I have to create a new one.
Okay, so just think about it. Is this helping me to experience life, or is this me trying to control life? That's my takeaway as a frame for figuring out whether this is helping me prepare or actually just adding more pressure and diminishing return. Okay, you don't have to stop growing just so that you don't experience this uncomfortable feeling. Get curious about why you feel that way, what's underneath of it, and if there's anything you can do to make it a little easier on yourself. Be gentle and be compassionate, and don't forget to ask, what could go right?
Hey there, this is Eric. Before we wrap up, I just want to give you the sailing update. We are heading into our 2027 season. As of this moment for 2026, we do have one solo spot on our Norway trip in 2026. That's September 3 through 10th in Norway. It's going to be an epic, beautiful sail in the Lofoten Islands. And then we've also got one solo female spot on our Bahamas trip in November the 9th through the 14th. And that's going to be in the Abacos northern part of the Bahamas. So those are the only two spots that we have left in 2026. But otherwise, 2026 is sold out. If there's any trip you want to jump on, you can join the wait list. But 2027, here's what we have going on. January 25th through the 30th, we're going to be in the Virgin Islands. That trip is also sold out, but we might open up another one in that same month or February. So if you want to go sailing this winter in the Virgin Islands, you can join the wait list for that. Just ping us and we'll send you the link to join that. March 1st through 6th, we're going to be in the Bahamas. It will most likely be in the Exumas, which is the southern part of the Bahamas, sailing out of Nassau. April 5 through 10, we're going to be in Mexico. La Paz, beautiful, stunning snorkeling, sailing, one of my favorite spots. So Mexico, April 5 through 10. May 1st through 8th, we are going to be in Tahiti and Bora Bora. The plan is to do a one-way sail from an island just off of Tahiti called Raiatea. And we're going to sail the boat to Bora Bora, which is that iconic lagoon with those bungalows out over the water. That's May 1st through the 8th. Then that's the end of our spring season, winter and spring, and we come over here to Europe. June 5 through 12th, we will be in Italy. And July 10th through the 17th, we will be in Greece. August 7th through the 14th, we'll be in Croatia. September 4th through the 11th, we'll be back in Italy. September 18th through the 25th, we'll be in Greece. These are our shoulder season trips. And then in November, we head back to the Virgin Islands, November 1 through 6, the British Virgin Islands, and then December 6th through the 11th, we'll be back in the Bahamas. So that is the 2027 lineup, the 2 empty spots for 2026. And if you want to join us for any of these, just hit reply to any one of our emails. You can DM us or contact us through social media, and would love to hear from you and see if this might be a fit for you. Would love to welcome you aboard.
We can talk about trips all day, but it's more fun to hear from someone who's been aboard. Here's a recent guest takeaway.
Just unsure of.
I was unsure of the whole thing, the whole spending a whole week on a sailboat with people that I don't know. That was kind of scary for me. That whole part of it. But turned out great. You guys are fun. Yeah. I had a great time, met new people, and learned a lot. Yeah, this is way cooler than I thought it was going to be.
That is great to hear. Thank you.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay, so second question is, and maybe you already answered it, was something that you was unexpectedly like a happy surprise or maybe a little delightful about the trip.
The people, the conversations we had, the dinners were pretty cool, and the questions at dinner. That was not something I expected, but that was pretty cool learning about everybody else. What else? The sailing wasn't as bad. Like I was worried about it being a smaller, boat, but it was cool. It was nice. I didn't get seasick, none of that stuff. So it was comfortable. We all accommodated the cooking. We took turns. It was like hanging with family. So yeah, it was fun.
Awesome.
100%.
So if you were talking to somebody that was thinking about coming out on one of these trips, what's something you might say to them?
Do it. Take a chance and do it. You won't regret it. I absolutely do not.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome.